Good Thursday afternoon, guys. I'm Jerry Miller, and welcome to the I Love CVille Show. Thank you kindly for joining us. It's great to be with you on a glorious afternoon in Charlottesville, Central Virginia, the Commonwealth, the country, the world. Wherever you are watching the I Love CVille Show, we're grateful for your support. We're grateful for your participation and the perspective that you share on the program. Folks, a lot to cover on the Thursday edition of the show. There was an excellent article in the CVille Weekly that was put on my radar by Wild Bill McKenzie. Wild Bill McKenzie, if you're watching the program, please let us know. I'm grateful for you sending this article to us. We will lead the program with this topic, and it centers around this. Rent in the Charlottesville area, monthly rent for residential housing, is 95% more expensive than 95% of Virginia. Let me try to say that a little bit better. Rent in Charlottesville is more expensive than 95% of the Commonwealth of Virginia. That's succinct and to the point right there. It is no secret that it's out of control. And Bill McKenzie writes this to me. And this really got me thinking. And I'm going to pose the question to you, Judah Whitcower. You'll see Judah Whitcower 1 day older today in a matter of seconds on the program. Here's what he said to me.
For the record, Jerry is 1 day older today as well.
I am 1 day older, but you had a birthday yesterday.
Yes.
So it's worth highlighting. This is what he said to me. Go to the two-shot. First, I'll say good afternoon to you. Hope the birthday went well and back to the grind and the nitty-gritty today. But this is what he Facebook messaged me, Bill McKenzie. No one knows what to do about this because we have a free market economy. Prices will only go down when you can't get someone or some investors to not pay them. He's so right.
Well, that's what I was asking you about before. Like, when does it become, when do we hold ourselves accountable?
I mean, it's a chicken and an egg, because if the jurisdiction is raising taxes.
Yes, but we all know that rent prices are going up far higher than taxes would necessitate.
I mean, assessments in the city of Charlottesville went up 12%. City of Charlottesville real estate assessments went up 12% year over year. It was like 11.7% to be exact. So if you're an investor and your assessment went up 12%, you're getting taxed on your assessment.
I get it.
You're getting taxed on your assessment.
You can't honestly tell me that rent prices are only going up the amount that the taxes have gone up.
You know, I would love to, with a fine-tooth comb, extrapolate that for you. I know with the condo at the Villas at Southern Ridge, where I launched this company, 5th Street Extended off Old Lynchburg Road, at one time 10 years ago, Judah was coming to the condo at the Villas at Southern Ridge, and we were running this business out of there, out of a home office, and the desk that you had was 2 filing cabinets with a door on top of the filing cabinets. Do you remember?
Yeah.
You did have the beautiful view of the community pool, though.
Oh, yeah.
And you had Zebra, the guinea pig pet. Remember Zebra? Vaguely? You remember Lucy, though.
I thought there was a rat.
There was a rat. We had a pet rat at one time.
I do not remember a guinea pig.
We did have a pet rat at one time. All right, so let's get to the nitty-gritty here. The condo that's a rental now, that is, call it $1,700 a month. And that $1,700 a month is, the margin has gotten wider or bigger year over year, which is to your point. While my overhead on that condo, because the assessments have gone up, we just saw Nancy over there. We love Nancy, former mayor of Scottsville. Nancy, walking by the studio.
Yeah.
While the margin has gotten fatter, I will say this. The taxes have increased The carrying costs associated with HOAs have increased. Wear and tear on parts and labor to fix the unit that breaks down in the unit have gone up. It's more difficult to find labor. But to your point, the one example I'm giving here, yes, the rents are appreciating faster than the overhead is increasing, which is the point you're making. Then the follow-up point that you're making is, when does this become like a golden rule type of decision for people? Where it's like for the best of mankind in society that people need affordable places to live. That's basically what you're saying.
Yeah, más y menos, more or less. I mean, really, I'm just trying to shine light on the, hypocrisy is not.
I don't think it's
really,
hypocrisy. It's
not
greed.
Really
is it greed? Is it greed?
I don't really want to go there either, because I'm not trying to accuse anyone.
Or is it just the nature of the free market? Is it just the free market? Is the free market greed?
There is obviously a certain amount of that. That's what we're looking at.
This is the free market that's happening here.
I can understand raising your prices because of taxes. I can understand raising them because of HOA fees. But raising them more than those things, and when people say I also understand wanting to cover the cost of repairs and stuff, but to make somebody that, say, rents your house or apartment for a year help pay for a roof seems a little...
Helps pay for a roof, that's a bit of a stretch.
Well,
this isn't a commercial setting. It's not a commercial setting.
My point being, if you're
jacking up rents because you know you have to replace your roof in the near future.
Let's take roof out of it and just say if you're raising the price of your rent so that you can afford to fix anything that breaks on the place, I would say that's a little bit shady the way I see it, because
what is the landlord supposed to do? What is take this? Take the Neil Williamson and Ray Cadell. We'll get to your comments. Bill McKenzie, thank you for putting this topic on our radar. It's a great start for the show. Chris Glover, welcome to the program. We have friends in Lynchburg, in Richmond, in Short Pump, and in North Carolina on our heat map right now. Here's what we're talking about. CVille Weekly's got a story today. It's a very good one. The story in the CVille Weekly is about affordability housing, and it's got data to back up what we all know. It's a freaking crisis out there. This is a crisis. Crisis is an applicable word for what's happening here. This is a crisis. According to the survey and census reference in this article, Charlottesville's median gross rent from 2016 to 2020 was basically $1,200 a month. To put it in perspective, the Boston market is $1,700 a month. We're $500 behind the Boston market, which is seen as one of the top markets: San Francisco, Boston, Manhattan, most expensive in the country. Furthermore, according to rentdata.org, the Charlottesville fair market rent area is more expensive than 95% of the state of Virginia. So we're using that as a springboard to get into this discussion. And what I think is making the show better is he and I often have very different opinions on things. We look at life very differently. And that
I'm a little
difference...
more open-minded.
What's that?
I'm a little more open-minded.
I think...
I'm joking. I'm being sarcastic.
No, this is how I would describe the difference between you and I. I'm a little bit glasses half full. You're a little bit glasses half empty. You're a contrarian by nature who likes to challenge and contradict, even if he doesn't necessarily believe in what he's challenging or contradicting.
That's not true. I just want more information.
You are very inquisitive. You are more empathetic than I am. I'm a bit more capitalistic than you, for obvious reasons. You know? There's also the investor of real estate side with me, where you are not an investor yet of real estate, but we're pushing you in that direction. So it makes for a good talk show dynamic. And where I'm going with this is I'll take the landlord's position if you want to take, or I'll take the landlord or the free market, I should say.
I mean,
the landlord or the free market, okay? And where I was going to go.
I have no problem with the free market.
I know you don't. I know you don't.
Mm-hmm.
I know you don't. I'm by no ways painting you as a socialist. By no ways am I painting you as anti-free market. Nothing like that. And I know that's your trepidation or your concern here.
No, not really.
That is somewhat of your concern because I know your ideology. And I know that's somewhat of your concern. But if you take a condo complex like the villas at Southern Ridge, where my rental is at, the developer of the complex is Bart Fry. He converted them from really bad rentals into condo sales like, I don't know, 16 or 17 years ago. He's a developer from Virginia Beach. And when he started doing this, he started unfortunately doing it in 2008, 2007, 2009 when the market hit the crapper. So he pivoted his model of taking a crappy apartment complex and converting it to condo sales because condos weren't selling then. Mm-hmm. So he said, you know what? I have this huge complex. I'm going to rent it. I'm going to rent the units instead of trying to sell them. Real Estate 3 was in the sales office. Jeff Gaffney, Rick Spagoni, Amanda Spagoni, Dan Pettit. I mean, just a fabulous
Where are you
cast.
Going with this?
I'll get to it in a point. I'll get to it in a second. Fabulous cast of real estate superstars were in the sales office at the Villas of Southern Ridge when Bart Fry was trying to sell these units as condos. And then it hit the crapper. And then he said, I'm not going to sell them anymore. I'm going to rent them. And then the sales office became a rental office. And the rental office at the Villas of Southern Ridge is open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, for people to walk in and try to rent condos or apartments from Bart. I just happen to own one of them in this area. He owns like 51% of the condos. I am one of the small people that owns one unit of the remaining 49%. Where I'm going with this is this. That sales office, it's open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. When someone walks into that sales office, the lady who's running that sales office is trying to maximize profit for Bart Fry. She's also commissioned on everything she leases. So it's to her advantage to try to pursue the highest rent possible. It keeps her in the good graces of her boss, and she makes the most money from commissions. This is my point, and it's a microcosm of the challenge we have. She's driving the market at the villas with this sales office. And the remaining owners in that 49% category, he owns 51, we're riding the coattails of the effort she's doing in the market she's creating and the price point she's developing. So if she says Monday through Friday, these 51% units at this condo complex rent for this price point, you in the 49% have this alternative. Well, I don't have a sales office. I don't have the same opportunities of getting tenants that a sales office has with a human in there, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, able to create and build a waiting list. I'm just one guy. So I try to beat the 51% and the ladies in the sales office with some price point and dropping it a little bit below market. But eventually, as a business person and as the remaining 49%, and you jump in here, the remaining 49%, they're competing with the lady in the sales office who's setting the market. And their number one way that they can compete is by cutting the price on them. They don't want to cut it too far because if they do, their margin shrinks to nothing unless the mortgage is paid off. If the mortgage is paid off, that's a different story.
I mean, if your price is raising, year after year, you're never going to cut your margin to zero. Most mortgages are not on places like this. I would not imagine are changing.
No, mine is
except for the price of tax.
Mine was a 30-year fix, $1,004 a month.
Yeah.
HOA, $1,004 a month, 30-year fix that was initiated almost 17 years ago. 6 1/8 the interest rate. HOA is like $1.65. So all in, I was like, $1,250. With the $1,004 gone on the mortgage, it's a different story. And to your point, it's a fixed mortgage. But that lady in the sales office, she's the free market. Look at the influence she has. The villas at Southern Ridge is probably, how many units do you think there are in there?
Shit, I don't.
200 units? Between 150 and 200?
I would guess there's a lot more than that.
I don't know. Say it's like 150, 200 units. It's a lot of buildings back there.
I know that. That's why I would think it would be a lot more than that, but I
don't have the exact number either. One lady who's close to 60 years old. One lady close to 60 years old is setting the price points on 200 units. And those 200 units have 2 to 3 bedrooms in them. So there's one lady setting the price points of 600 bedrooms in the urban ring. Think about that. And that's not unique to the villas at Southern Ridge. I'm sure other leasing offices exist everywhere in complexes like that. But one lady is determining the monthly rent for 600 bedrooms in the urban ring. This is right next to Wegmans. And every time the unit turns over, you know what she does?
Raises the price.
Raises the price. And you know why she does that?
Because she wants to make money.
Because she wants to make more money. Because she wants to buy her grandkids some Legos from that new Goochland billion-dollar facility.
I mean, I see this as kind of a case of like going corporate and what's the word I'm looking for? Not having any personal responsibility anymore.
What does that mean?
It means that yes, you're right. She works for someone, and her job is to, she gets
commission and bonus on keeping occupancy.
Yeah.
So are you supposed to tell me, are you saying, and I apologize for interrupting you, are you saying this nearly 60-year-old woman who's trying to retire, running the leasing office at the villas at Southern Ridge, that is literally setting the price point on 600 units in the Albemarle County, City of Charlottesville urban ring, is supposed to say, you know what?
No, I'm not.
I feel bad for these people.
No.
I'm going to cut the rent.
That's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm saying it's easy to hire someone to watch your property and say it's not my responsibility. They're doing their job, getting the highest possible price they can get.
Where are you going with this?
I already went with it.
Where did you go?
No personal responsibility.
It's not her personal responsibility to be mindful of affordability indexes.
I know that.
Now, you can make an argument, maybe it's the developers.
This isn't about her. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe it's the developer's responsibility.
No longer has any responsibility if everything is on her shoulders. But then you're also I think implicitly stating that now the other 49% of the people that own places and rent them out in there, they no longer have any personal responsibility because they have to follow her price, the price that she sets.
Those 49% that also own there have their hands somewhat forced by what she is doing.
Okay, so now there's no personal responsibility anywhere involved in this whole discussion.
And is the lack of personal responsibility indicative of a free market, where the market in totality is responsible to itself and not the individual people that make the market?
Maybe. But,
I mean, it's the free market.
Okay.
You know what the alternative option is? The alternative option is more government involvement in setting price points or capping or setting thresholds of rent. And neither you nor I want that, do we?
No, we don't want that.
I don't want that.
I would like to think that there is such a thing as personal responsibility, and in a world where it is far too easy to say that it's somebody else's problem.
Well, then maybe that's where we should have started the show. Maybe the start of the show was not this. According to the census, Charlottesville's median gross rent from 2016 to 2020 was $1,188 a month. According to rentdata.org, the Charlottesville fair market rent area is more expensive than 95% of the state of Virginia. Maybe that's not the lead of the show. Maybe the lead of today's show should have been this in very succinct fashion. Are you ready? Is personal responsibility. Does personal responsibility in the free market, are they oxymorons or contradict each other, or are they opposites? Are they like the black and white cookie from Seinfeld? Is there personal responsibility in the free market? Or does the free market, I mean, this is a hell of a topic. I could unpack this one all day.
Yeah, I mean, we could go and go and
I
go
could
on
unpack this one all day.
And there's no succinct answer.
Let's get to comments. Neil Williamson is the president of the Free Enterprise Forum. If there's ever a free market guy, it's the president of the Free Enterprise Forum, Sir Neil Williamson, the king of content. He's had a couple of comments he's posted. These comments are on my personal Facebook page in the comments section. There's some action going on there. He says, perhaps landlords have increased cost of doing business. We do have increased cost of doing business. And I understand the empathy for landlords is few and far between. I totally get that the empathy for developers and landlords and investors is few and far between, especially in inflationary times and as we head into a recession. I understand that. But I want everyone to watch and listen to the program and hopefully understand that not all landlords are hedge funds or private equity, or not all landlords are even like the Keith Woodards or the Hunter Craigs, and no knock on Keith Woodards or Hunter Craigs. Props to those guys to getting to their robust portfolio of real estate assets. But a lot of landlords are just people like me, like just me,
yeah,
and who has real estate assets, but who has real estate debt. There's an old saying in real estate. That old saying is real estate is you could be real estate wealthy but cash poor because you got debt service on your real estate.
Right.
But the Woodards and Craigs, and I'm not speaking specifically of them, but in general terms, the local men and women who've grown real estate portfolios like Woodards and Craigs, at one time, they're saying, good gosh, I got a lot of real estate and a lot of real estate debt as well. And eventually, you know what happens? Those mortgages get paid off. Especially in the commercial sector, those mortgages, the terms are very short. In the commercial sector, you're purchasing a property, you're paying these things off in like 5, 7, or 10 years. The rates are higher, the risk is considerably greater, the down payment is way larger, the personal risk is significant. You're oftentimes personally guaranteeing what you're doing with your house. But if you take a bet and a risk like that with the commercial investment and the term of the loan is 5 years, 5 years goes by quickly. It goes by quickly. And then next thing you know, you have 5, 7 years gone by, you have a handful of them, and they're spewing off cash. You don't keep the cash in the bank. Inflation. Are you going to put the cash in the markets right now? Probably not. 25% down. Worst start of the year since 1970, 52 years. You do it again, you buy it more, and you do it on 5 years. And like that, you can build legitimately a freaking empire if you understand the concept of managing risk, and you understand the concept of managing debt service and equity. Bill Nichman taught me that. 50 million in real estate holdings, I would be surprised if he had that, maybe more. We shared a wall with Bill Nichman in the Professional Center on the downtown mall for 18 months. And for 18 months, we're sharing a wall in his brick building. It's the building on the downtown mall that's home to United Bank. And for 18 months, every day I was knocking on this man's door, picking his ear, asking him questions about real estate and growing a portfolio of property. And he showed me in a lot of the ways of how to do it. Bill. More comments coming in. This is from Ray Cadell. And it's not just taxes that impact the landlords. Labor costs for repairs, materials. How about the inability to evict tenants not paying in any efficient manner in some more moratoriums on evictions? Subsidized rents have never allowed increases approaching 10%, by the way. You try to get somebody to come to your house to replace your garbage disposal, or to do some electrical work, or to do some handyman work. It's weeks, if not longer. And their rates have gone up 30 to 40%. And the cost of goods, if you need a new garbage disposal, or washer machine, or dishwasher, or fridge, those are more expensive than ever. To your point, the appreciation is significantly more than overhead with the rents. And to your point, I think it's greed that's driving it. Yeah. And also to your point, I don't think there's personal responsibility in the free market, as I think deeper with this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just asking questions. I'm not accusing anyone. I think it was Neil. I can't see the comment anymore, but he made a good point about, is if we have a problem in the affordable housing
Here's
market.
his comment. You want me to read it directly, and then I'll get out of your way? I apologize for interrupting. I'm really working on it. Judah, if the community wants affordable housing, why should the landlords pay for this desire?
Yeah, and that's a great point. And again, I'm not saying that they should. I'm just from my perspective, I hear a lot of what seems to me like just dissonance, a disconnect in
Excuse me.
People talking about affordable housing and then turning and talking about the high cost of rents and how rent prices keep going up. And I'm like, but wait a minute. If you're leasing a place, you don't have to raise the price. Yes, I understand raising the price to cover taxes, to cover HOA fees. I understand charging enough so that if something does hit you like a major repair, you're not like screwed. But I think there's got to be some personal responsibility as well, and so that's why I'm asking the questions, because I'm not a landlord.
Judah Wickhauer is the guy you want to be your landlord.
I don't know about that.
And I mean that sincerely and genuinely as a compliment.
Okay.
Judah is the guy you want to be your landlord. I wouldn't be surprised if you kept rent fixed for a long period of time for the tenant.
It's impossible to say without actually.
Right. I'm giving you props. There. Bill McKenzie, I see you're watching the program. I appreciate you sending this our way. We'll get to some more comments that have come in. This is from Jason Howard. Jason Howard, you're on Rio Road, right? Didn't we have to keep the list of nicknames? Jason Howard is the king of Rio. He's the listener who's been dubbed with the newest moniker, the king of Rio, Jason Howard. He says, as far as new apartment construction, are non-luxury apartments being built in and around Charlottesville? The ones at Stonefield are luxury, pool, gym, in-unit laundry, and all that starting at $2,040 a month for a 2-bedroom. Are you aware of any more modest new apartments being constructed in CVille or in the county? I'm not. I would think if you're going to construct an apartment complex to rent in the Charlottesville area, you're going to do it from a luxury standpoint or a luxury brand. And you're going to do it to try to command the luxury rents. Is that how you would see it? I mean, we're in the branding business. And it's interesting.
From what I understand, it's really hard to get anything built in Charlottesville.
Yeah. I'll put this in perspective for you. Suzanne Reel is the owner of Ally Property Management. And I sent a potential tenant to Suzanne Reel of Ally Property Management. She manages my condo at the Villas of Southern Ridge for me. And I sent her a possible tenant. The tenant's a friend of mine. The tenant says her budget is $1,150 a month. She could go to $1,250 a month if all utilities are included. So let's call her budget $1,250 a month, because I think $1,150 a month is going to be difficult for her to find, because she wants to live alone and she has a dog, a very adorable dog named Rosebud. So $1,250 a month. Rosebud is the dog's name. So $1,250 a month. We'll call the rent.
Do you know where that's from?
So Citizen Kane.
You got it.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm here to answer your questions. She's paying she can do $1,250, that's her max. Suzanne responded to her in this email exchange where I did this connection of people to try to get my friend a place to rent while also throwing business to a company I'm doing business with, strengthening the relationship with them. And she responds to my friend, Suzanne, and she talks about Barracks West. You know where Barracks West is, right? Erin King. Erin King, are you watching the program? Erin King, the Queen of Scottsville, one of Western Albemarle's finest graduates. Are you watching the program? I believe, if memory serves correct, that you used to live in Barracks West, Erin King. Anyway, Barracks West, to Jason Howard, the King of Rio, asked the question about modest apartment complexes in the area. I would describe Barracks West as modest, and that's me being
modest,
generous,
oh, yeah,
kind.
Yeah.
It's me being kind. A one bedroom in Barracks West, in the modest category of apartments in Charlottesville. You want to wager the monthly rent on that, Judah?
Do I want to wager? No.
Do you want to guess what it is?
I mean, I don't know anything about these places, but I'm just gonna guess on principle that it's a lot higher than $1,250.
At least it's in the vicinity.
Barracks West has 2 stars on.
I called it modest. I was trying to be kind to Barracks West. If you're looking at modest in the area, entry price point in the area, you're at Barracks West. Eagles Landing is another one. You're looking at about $1,400 a month. One bedroom apartment in a modest apartment complex. Being nice. You're looking at about $1,400 a month. That ain't cheap.
No.
That ain't cheap. You live by yourself. You can have a pet. It's on the second floor. $1,400. That ain't cheap.
No, it's not.
Comments coming in fast and furious. Kevin Yancey is the king of Waynesboro. He says his mortgage for a 3,200 square foot on nearly an acre is $269 more per month than what the CVille median is. Waynesboro has got some great affordability and value right now, Kevin Yancey. There is no doubt about it, my friend. No doubt about it. Bill McKenzie, Wild Bill McKenzie, has this comment for the viewers and listeners. A family member that is near San Francisco has a carrot and a stick situation. He has a good income, but inflation, interest rates, and low inventory keep the carrot out of reach. We were homeowners at his age. It's ridiculous that he can't purchase a home. San Fran prices are at least double ours. That is going to be a massive challenge facing many millennials and younger. Getting behind generationally on the first purchase sets your wealth creation back exponentially. Buying that first place is paramount.
Yeah.
for creating the wealth. Getting out of the rent domino cycle that is extremely difficult to get out when landlords are asking for first month's rent, last month's rent, and security deposit. In a lot of cases, you're talking $6,000 or $7,000 up front for a 1-year lease.
I don't even know how somebody would do that.
Domino effect. It's difficult to get out.
I mean, it's that's
someone that's on the economic margin, on the financial margin. That's very difficult to do. That's why you often don't see them leaving. That's why you often don't see them leaving the spots they're currently in, because they know the next spot they got to go. It's first month's rent, last month's rent, security deposit. Or you just stay and you renew, even if it's a crappy situation, because you already got the security deposit on file. Last month's rent already got paid, and you got some 30 days to squirrel some money away because you paid last month's rent up front.
You're trapped.
You're trapped. You're trapped.
Yeah.
It's like folks. I had a friend. I had a buddy. This buddy got in the the credit card debt spin cycle. And the credit card debt spin cycle can destroy people.
Yeah.
Can destroy people.
Mm-hmm.
Where he got got careless, he got out of control, and next thing you know, he's racked up $30,000, $40,000 in credit card debt. And he's barely making minimums.
Yeah.
Minimum payments. You never get out of that. He came to me and asked for some help, for some advice. He said, what's the play? Smart guy, UVA grad. Good job. White collar job. Wife, kid. And I talked to him, I said, I'm like, dude, I host a talk show and own a branding and advertising company and some real estate. I'm not an expert in this. But I said, I think what you should do is you should go to whatever bank you have the best relationship with and consolidate this debt. And consolidate the debt. Maybe you take a $40,000 or $50,000 loan. If you have to collateralize with your house, do that. And get it off this floating debt that's tied to prime. It's 20, 21 points, 18 points, 19 points, and lock it into a 3, 5, 6, 7 year on a 5, 6, 7% fixed rate.
Yeah.
And he did that. And it opened up $300 or $400 a month extra of money. And that $300 or $400 extra of money that month turned out to be the breathing room. The breathing room.
Yeah.
Keith Smith, watching the program, the distinguished gentleman, he said, interesting read from Bloomberg. They are projecting in certain cities rents are cooling off, but I do not see that happening in our market, but it's an interesting read nonetheless. Neil Williamson says 250 new units are going before the Albemarle Planning Commission for rezoning on Tuesday night, and he shared the link. Thank you, Neil Williamson. He said this conversation, Jason Howard, the king of Rio Road, said this. I love you, Jason Howard. I love that you're watching the program and contributing. Ooh, Carol Thorpe has a question specifically for Judah Wickower. Carol Thorpe is the queen of Jack Jewett. This is from the king of Rio first. Are you ready for this, Judah? He says, this topic is very close to home for me. Driving to the grocery store the other day, I noticed the sign in one of the house yards. 250 more units there would be housing that we need, but that's a lot of traffic on an already busy road. Jason is talking about the 250 units the Albemarle County Planning Commission is considering rezoning. So Jason's acknowledging that we need the units, but he's also acknowledging the infrastructure concerns and how it could impact the quality of life in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Which are both fair. Both fair.
Right.
Carol Thorpe, does what Judah is describing fall under what Jerry calls conscious capitalism? Potentially. I thought about that, Carol, when he was talking about it. That's potentially conscious capitalism, what Judah was talking about, where you're running a for-profit business in empathetic fashion. Like, there's some friends, and to an extent we do this, where you run a business and you keep it in the black. You run a business in a for-profit mindset, but you do it in a way where you leave your footprint in the community in a better place than when you first arrived.
Yeah, you're not just trying to squeeze every single penny that you can possibly get.
Yeah, I mean, one of the ways I feel like I try to practice conscious capitalism with the businesses we have, in particular the B2B, the branding businesses, we are very generous and not raising rates year over year over year over year. A lot of clients that are on our active roster, the monthly retainer they're paying now are the monthly retainer that they were paying 4 or 5 years ago. And from my perspective, that breeds loyalty with my client, maintains the relationship, keeps them paying that monthly retainer for the good service they're getting for that monthly retainer, and then it allows me to attract new businesses to the roster. And that's how you grow a business. That's how we've grown the business over the last 15 years, which is crazy it's been that long. This is from Kevin Yancey. Would you rather have to go through the application process or have possible lifetime renters? The application process at the sales office at the villas is not easy. It's a stringent background and credit check.
Yeah.
You're filling out, have you ever had to fill out applications for renting?
No, not like that. I mean, it's it's more indication of the corporate, whether or not you want to call it corporate. I think it's more of an indication of that being a corporate style business.
Yeah, I mean, he's bigger than the mom and pop landlord.
Yeah, if you
he's out of market. He's in Virginia Beach. He has properties everywhere.
Right. So she's doing that to cover her butt.
Yeah, exactly.
Because she's doing a job and working for him. Like I said,
exactly.
That's how I see less. It's impersonal.
It is impersonal.
And
it's a file.
Right.
The tenants are a file on a desk.
Yeah.
And they're not people.
Mm-hmm.
They're a social security number, a credit score, first month's rent, last month's rent, and security deposit. That's all they are, is 5 things. To that developer, to that guy.
Right.
Very different than the mom and pop that only has a couple units, where they're on the first name basis and oftentimes getting the rent check in person given to them in their hands.
Yeah.
That breeds a different level of relationship.
Right. I dropped off my rent check at Allied Concrete every month, and the people next to me, there's no one in there right now, but I mean, I remember them walking up to the front door with the landlord, who was an older woman, like an older Asian woman.
You drop off. Oh, sorry. Were you finished? I didn't mean to interrupt. I apologize.
I was just saying that it was definitely more personal. The next door neighbor as well. Like I said, it was, I'd see the woman that was living next to me, walking up to the front door with this old Asian lady who was her landlord.
Right.
And it's a much different story when you can go and actually talk to someone.
Well, take the Macklin building. So the Macklin building on Market Street, where this show is done, how I've been able to purchase most of this building is through individual deals that were done in a seller, negotiated by yours truly in a seller finance capacity. Short terms, 5-year terms, seller finance capacity, fixed rates, all the money paid off in 5 years. What do? Either me or you hand deliver the check to the previous owner every month in person. When I can't do it, you do it. And that is done strategically and with intent. And you know what my intent and strategy with delivering it in person is?
To be a human being to that person and not just be a number.
Exactly. And why do you do that?
Because if something goes wrong, they're not immediately going to drop the dime and say,
Bingo. Repo.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They'll call you and be like, hey, what's going on? And you can be like, look.
And what's the strategy, the same strategy we do in advertising and branding, the same strategy we applied to managing the seller finance deals. Humanize, localize, and personalize. Don't be a file, a credit score, a social security number, first month's rent, last month's rent, security deposit. Be Jerry, the husband of Lauren and the father of Trey, or Judah, the team member who works for Jerry, that relies on all things going smoothly so Judah can pay his mortgage. Humanize, localize, and personalize. Yeah. Every month, that interaction is made. Every month. Never in the mail. Way cheaper just to put 50, how much is a stamp envelope? 65 cent stamp envelope? 70 cents, something like that? It'd be way easier for me to just put that check in an envelope, drop it in the post office of the downtown mall, and have it mailed to Larry Howard, who owns Specialty Guitars Plus on Rio Road, as opposed to me driving to Rio Road or you driving to Rio Road and talking to him. You on the clock.
Yep, I drive out there.
On the clock. That costs a hell of a lot more than the 65 cents. But the value is the relationship. More comments coming in, and we'll see if we can get to these other topics. This was a great topic, Bill McKenzie. I'm very grateful for you sending this to us. You guys can help dictate the pace and tempo of the show by sending topics to Judah and I to discuss. Is that crowdsourcing? I think that's crowdsourcing content. Like all this show is the proverbial water cooler at the office. Go to or the coffee pot at the office.
Yeah.
You go get some coffee, you run into somebody, you find out about something that you didn't know about.
We're a little more directed than that, but
maybe it's the bar or the coffee shop and we're talking about the town.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I just meant by more directed than that, you know, we're not talking about our favorite TV shows or...
Yeah, we talk about stuff that matters. We're not having weather talk. We're talking about stuff that matters, like calling Waffle House yesterday on the air to see if they were open or not.
Except you gave me the wrong phone number.
You found that phone... Oh, did I find the phone number or did you find the phone number?
You read me the phone number.
But you called it today and it was the same message.
Yeah, because they're closed.
We don't know for sure they're closed. A post on a Reddit board would not pass Jenny Rector or McGregor McCance's standards for journalistic integrity when I was the editor at the Daily Progress.
Okay, well, yesterday I thought we were calling the the 29 Waffle House to see if they were still open.
No, we were calling. Why would we call the 29 Waffle House to see if the 5th Street Waffle House was still open? We saw on Reddit that the 5th Street Waffle House was closed because they have no labor. That's all we're trying to do, is to confirm that the 5th Street Waffle House is closed, either in perpetuity or in the short term because they don't have labor.
And I misunderstood you, and I thought you were saying, let's see if the other Waffle House is closed as well.
Well,
but you were just trying to confirm that the 5th Street is closed.
Dude, I think for me personally, I don't know about you guys, but I think that's a freaking story. A restaurant with the name recognition of Waffle House, I'm not saying it's 5-star dining, but anyone has heard of the name Waffle House, cannot stay open because they can't find staff. That's a big deal. That is a big deal. Don't you think?
Yeah.
That's a news story.
I mean, it's happening all over.
That's a news story. And like you said, a microcosm of a much more significant issue. More comments coming in. Fast and Furious today on the show. Travis Hackworth is watching in Danville, Virginia. The comeback city is Danville, Virginia. I freaking love Danville. Love you, Travis Hackworth. I've never actually met you in person, only online, but I feel like I know you. He's the king of Danville. It's also possible, depending on funding mechanisms, that some of these complexes have dedicated percentage of units that do serve certain income levels. That is 100% true. That is 100% true. And that's the conscious capitalism of some of these complexes, that a portion of the units are allocated to area median income requirements.
Cool.
So that could be the personal, what did you call it?
Personal responsibility.
The personal responsibility. Where if someone gives the developer beef for jacking up the rents, the developer can say, in the words of Lee Corso on ESPN, "Not so fast, my friends. These units were capped with AMI, area median income." Does that get the developer off the hook in your book on personal responsibility?
I never said they were on the hook. I'm just asking questions. I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I appreciate the discourse, and I'm just, I'm mostly curious because I don't know. And like I said, I heard the disconnect in people talking about affordable housing on one hand and skyrocketing rent prices on the other hand. And I thought, well, there's a connection there, and why is nobody acknowledging that connection? So I started asking questions.
I like it. Good questions. Neil makes the point that, Williamson, that as new luxury apartments are constructed, some of these new units will be taken by current apartment residents, freeing up those non-luxury apartments to the market. And that's 100% true. That was one of my biggest issues with Nakia Walker. I haven't brought that name up in a long-ass time. One of my biggest issues with Nakia Walker, the former mayor of Charlottesville, what's the saying? Don't let perfect be the enemy of good enough. Not every time, I don't want to speak in every time. A lot of the times she was voting on the dais as mayor, she was shooting down development projects left and right.
Yeah.
Because she said the development projects didn't meet her model of affordability and didn't meet her requirements of positive impact on the black and brown community.
Yeah, and that's a shame because you're right. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good.
Because any units help.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you're cutting the ability to help at all.
Well, if you just say no.
Until you have the perfect solution.
Right.
But if that comes 10 years down the road, how many people could you have helped in those 10 years with an imperfect solution as opposed to waiting that 10 years?
Exactly. And isn't that common sense? Does that not seem like common sense?
I mean, I can understand both sides of it, but yes.
You cannot. You're just being a nice person here. This is common sense.
Look, if we're talking about time spans of like 10 years, but I can understand if you think that maybe something else is going to come along in 2 months or 3 months.
But that's not how short the system doesn't work in months. It works in years. And when you shoot something down today, it's going to take a long-ass time before it comes back again in a new form.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
And the point Neil is making, and this is important to emphasize, if you care about affordability in the area, then you should be pro-housing in the area. Because any housing that comes to the area, new to market housing that comes to the area, is going to alleviate the housing crisis or help alleviate the crisis in the area.
Increase the supply.
It's additional stock.
Increase the supply, lower the demand.
Exactly. It's additional stock. So even if it's luxury price point that's new to the area, and guess what?
Yeah.
It has to be luxury price point in this area, the new stuff that's coming on, because that's the developers can't make any money, the builders can't make any money any other way.
Yeah.
The new to market inventory is 8, 9, 100,000 and up.
Yeah, and so to his point, if people are moving, as long as people are moving up, other people are moving. Every movement creates an opening, and somebody fills that opening. Eventually, you get to the lower end, and those people are moving out of there and creating spaces for that crowd.
Yeah, this is common sense. This is common sense. But I'll stop. I won't go any further on that track of thought. Carol Thorpe, Queen of Jack Jewett. 25 years ago, my husband and I lived in what was Old Salem for our first year in CVille, concurrent with my pregnancy and birth of our son Matthew, until we bought our house. It was a nice place to live back then. I didn't know about the name change, and I'm sorry to hear it's degenerated into modest conditions. Old Salem, yep. Thank you, Carol Thorpe, for leaving this comment. Old Salem was the previous brand of Barracks West. Barracks West now is the entry point is the price point entry in Albemarle in the city of Charlottesville. And it has all the conditions that come with price point entry in Albemarle in the city of Charlottesville. And I'll let you unpack that and decipher what I mean there. Kevin Yancey, a king of Waynesboro, owners of older apartments made a killing on rents during the 60s and 90s, then made the condo switch after doing minimal repairs or upgrades. The mentality is upper-class students looking to live off-campus, spending daddy's money, so get all you can. Perfect example of that is Eagles Landing off Old Lynchburg Road. Eagles Landing off Old Lynchburg Road. It's basically apartments. They're condos now. There are 4 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms in each unit, and each unit has its own bathroom and lockable door. So you can rent a condo of 4 bedrooms to 4 strangers, and all 4 can have safety and privacy without knowing each other because their bedrooms have their own bathrooms and lockable deadbolt door. They share the common area in the kitchen. Eagles Landing has a boatload of investors in that complex. A boatload of investors. Travis Hackworth. Average rent in my market went from $700 a month to $1,400 a month in Danville. In some cases, new market rate prices are $1,900 to $2,100 a month in Danville, Virginia. Good Lord, Travis. $2,100 a month for new market rent in Danville.
I'm curious about the time frame of that.
Well, I would say that's a direct reflection of the pandemic. I think it's a direct reflection of the following things. Why I'm so bullish on Danville is the work remotely opportunity that's present in America. If you can work remotely, why in anyone's name would you stay in an expensive urban environment where there's traffic congestion, lack of quality of life, and your dollar doesn't go as far?
Yeah.
You would sprint, at least someone like me, I would sprint to an area that had, this is why I love Charlottesville. It's got all the things I love. It's got great food, great music, college sports, the outdoors, a world-class squash facility, racket sports everywhere. Well, I love this area. So many comics coming in. Marquise Johnson is watching in Hampton. Marquise, I've always appreciated your straightforwardness. He says, sounds like y'all are just a bunch of crooks kicking people out of your homes, out of our homes. We're not doing the kicking of people out of their homes, Marquise. It's good to hear from you, my friend. I hope the 757 in Hampton, Virginia are treating you well. Squash and racquetball did not bring me here. The University of Virginia brought me here. You're back in Charlottesville. That's good. It's good to have you back in CVille. I don't think people are kicking Marquise people out of their homes.
And Travis answered my question.
Do you think people are kicking people out of their homes? I don't think that's the case.
It certainly isn't realtors that are kicking them out.
It could be market dynamics. It's more market dynamics than people. So much to cover on today's show. Do you want to hit the other topics? God, we're already an hour in. Today's show was phenomenal. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, a lot of good discussion, a lot of great comments.
We got some topics we got to cover tomorrow. I didn't realize we're an hour in. All right, so tomorrow we're going to talk about this. All right. In fact, let's do some quick hitters from the notebook. You have some quick hitters ready to go. We can talk about them tomorrow. Here are some quick hitters from the Jerry and Judah notebook for you. Under the new Charlottesville City public school plan, elementary school children will have to walk to school if they live within 3/4 of a mile of their school because there are not enough bus drivers, buses, and bus routes. Furthermore, under the new middle school and high school plan, middle school and high school students in the city of Charlottesville with public schools will be asked to walk to school if they live within 1.25 miles of the school because there's not enough buses, bus drivers, or routes. So basically, if you're in elementary school, because we don't have enough bus drivers or routes, if you're within 3/4 of a mile of the school living, you have to walk. If you're in middle school or high school, if you're within 1.25 miles of the school, you have to walk. I found that compelling. We're the father and mother of a 4-year-old. Elementary student walking to school from 3/4 of a mile away would give me pause and concern, and would give my wife tremendous anxiety and agita.
What?
Our kid
Trey
walking
having
as
to
an
walk?
elementary school student nearly a mile to school?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there's a major difference between 1st and 2nd grade and 5th grade.
Yeah, I mean, I was just discussing something similar to this on Reddit, and we were talking about how times have changed, and
Times have changed.
I used to ride my bike all around. When I was in Santa Barbara, we left when I was 6, but before that, I'd run across the street, I'd play in the park, I'd dig stuff out of the giant trash cans. Then we moved to LA. And my sisters and I walked at least a mile to school. Then we moved a lot closer, but by then I was riding my bike who knows how many miles to the mall. And we'd ride everywhere, we'd go places, we'd cut through backyards and businesses
Times are different now.
to go get frozen yogurt.
Times are different now. And you know what it is? It's unfortunate. And you know why times are different now? We always had stranger danger.
Yeah.
We always had kidnappings. We've always had abuse. We've always had bad stuff to kids. We've always had crime.
Yeah.
You know what the difference is now? It's so much more transparent and so much more, we live in such a much more connected world. So these terrible stories are much more prevalent in the news cycle. Mm-hmm. So they breed fear and vulnerability and uncertainty, feelings that scare parents. The news, if it bleeds, it leads. Fear drives action. I won't say what client it is, but one of the main strategies for a very important client on our roster is to leverage mom fear. The mom controls the household. The mom controls the household budget. The mom tells the kids, and usually the husband, what to do. Mm-hmm. If you can captivate the head of the household or influence the head of the household by leveraging or utilizing tactics associated with mom fear, then you can influence how the household budget is allocated and spent. There's still the same crime out there that there's always been when our parents and our grandfathers and grandmothers and our young Judah Wickhowers were walking 1.5 miles to school in snow uphill both ways without boots on.
I actually looked up my old high school on Google Maps and found the house that we lived in, and it was 1.1 miles.
1.1 miles.
Yeah.
So you had young Wickhower trekking 1.1 miles. Was this in Maine?
Yeah, this was in Maine.
While you were in Maine?
What? How long?
No, I know you were in Maine.
Yeah.
I can assure you there are a lot less kids walking to school today than when we were coming up.
Yeah, no doubt.
Promise you that. We'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll talk about the University of Virginia terminating the relationship with two fraternities. A new Sheetz is opened on northern Albemarle County off Airport Road. Chipotle has launched a $50 million venture fund to analyze the future of food. What is the future of food and how will it be served and delivered and purchased? I can tell you that the future of food is not going to involve human capital or labor. The future of food is going to involve automation and robots and kiosks in digital components like apps on your phone.
I think that's going to be the case with a lot of things.
The future of food is not labor associated with people. If we've learned anything from this freaking pandemic, is labor and people and counting on them to build a business can be difficult depending on the sector and what you pay. Right? Can't even get people to show up. All those topics and more. Judah Wickower, Jerry Miller. This is the I Love CVille Show on a Thursday where we kicked some ass today. We brought it today. We were on point. So long, guys. Take care.